Okay, so here's what's up. I've tried making this video like 3 times now, and the first time it failed because I haven't, made a video in a while. Second time it failed for the same reason. The third time it failed because Disney kept blocking the video. And eventually I tried to re-edit it, and I tried to re-edit it again, and by the time I couldn't edit anymore, I was just screwed over because my phone's out of data, and there was only so much of that video I could edit, and it was just a whole thing like, okay. So I'm obviously not going to get this video uploaded the way I want it to, and the way it is, and the more I thought about it, I was just like, God, okay, you know what, all video essays are going to be like this. It's all just going to be me. It's going to be like an endless cycle of me just saying, okay, is it good? No? Okay. And then my video getting blocked. And in all honesty, I just hate that. I hate that process. I hate just doing that. I don't know how video essayists do it. I have nothing but respect for them and their patience. But honestly, I can't be a video essayist. So anytime you see a video with the problem with Professor Hulk, which is what I'll be talking about today, or Ant-Man, good or bad, I just want you guys to know that it'll be just a video of my face talking, because that's both easier to edit and just less annoying. Yeah, this is the new format for anything that's not a short film. So yeah, let's talk about Professor Hulk. Okay, so Professor Hulk first made his appearance in Avengers Endgame, which came out in 2019. And it's a pretty good movie. Like, there are little to no issues. The only other issue besides, I guess, Professor Hulk would be probably just the color palette and the cinematography. Really, I mean, there are a lot of scenes with really good cinematography, but there are other scenes that kind of suck. And most of the movie is comprised of browns and grays and blacks and oranges. And the blacks aren't even black, they're gray also, so it's kind of an ugly movie when it's inconvenient. Like the whole Captain America versus Captain America scene, that would have looked really cool if there was any visual flair thrown in there. That's not what I'm talking about. Instead, I'm talking about another huge problem with the movie. That would be Professor Hulk. Where do I even start with Professor Hulk? Well, I do want to preface this real quick. I am obviously not the biggest Hulk fan. I don't own any, Hulk comic books. The most Hulk-related media I own is this poster over here, that poster, and that little metal poster thing, and then, a toy. So, I'm not the biggest Hulk fan, but Hulk is still a really cool character, and I just think he was misinterpreted in Avengers Endgame specifically, and I kind of want to break down why. But before we break down why the character is not as good as he could be, I want to talk about Bruce Banner in the comics. Bruce Banner in the comics is probably one of the best characters. Again, I haven't read every Hulk comic. I don't think I own any Hulk comics. The only Hulk comics I've read are ones I've rented from the library when I was 9 or 10, or ones that I've picked up in the comic book store and didn't buy, or Avengers comics. He's in a lot of really good Avengers comics. Despite that, I know Hulk is an amazing character. Bruce Banner himself is such an interesting point of story in the comic books because of his family background. Most people in the Marvel Universe have either a rough childhood of some sort or just a rough life. Peter Parker, for example, he lost his parents, he lost his Uncle Ben, he loses women he loves all the time, he randomly kills people sometimes, he loses enemies that he started to form friendships with, he loses actual friends that become enemies. It sucks for everybody in the Marvel Universe. I'm looking at this poster right now and I'm just like, okay, so mutants, the X-Men, life sucks for them because, everybody's a bigot, apparently. Thor, Loki, and Thor's dad, Odin, they're oh my god, bro, they're oh my god, they're terrible. And then if you think about how many siblings Thor has that he doesn't know, oh my god, dude, Thor's family is so messed up. And then his mom is dead. And then there's everything with Gore the God Butcher, which was insane. Like, Gore basically shook Thor so hard that, like, whenever he needed to be stopped, there was a contingency that, like, the contingency was that Uatu the Watcher would somehow come down and tell Thor that Gore was right. Like, Thor's been through a lot emotionally, and it's literally the same with every Marvel character. Iron Man, Nova, I think, Hawkeye for sure, Jean Grey, like, everything sucks for every Marvel character. But I think the difference with Bruce Banner is that he was abused by his father when he was young, but he grew up to be like him enough to where it's like, oh my god, it's the drama. Bruce Banner was like, he was abused by his genius scientist father, and he grew up to become a guy who was a genius scientist, smarter than Tony Stark, smarter than Reed Richards, smarter than Peter Parker. Like, Bruce Banner is legitimately the smartest person, smartest human in the Marvel universe, I think. Anyway, in my opinion, smarter than Scott Lang. Not Scott Lang. Smarter than Hank Pym. And he also has this monstrous side to him, this angry, mean side to him that's the Hulk. And he portrays a version of the fear of becoming like your parents. The fear of becoming the thing that gave you fear so perfectly and so amazingly that I don't think any other character has really, like, cracked the code. Maybe Ghost Rider, but not really. Silver Surfer sometimes, if you count Galactus as his dad, but he's not really his dad. But yeah, it's the whole sins of the father thing, and I think Hulk just does that story beautifully, especially with things like Planet Hulk and the whole Demon Hulk storyline. See, I know some stuff about Hulk comics. Where, like, I don't remember how it conspired, but, like, Hulk was having this, like eye bawling, like, just, he was bawling hard while fighting this Demon Hulk thing. And it was like, dang, that's like his dad, or his evil side or something. And, you know, he feels inadequate with this side, you know, because this is the side that wants to do what Bruce has always wanted to do, which was get back at his father, but Bruce doesn't really want to get back at his father because he loves him. Like, Hulk is so interesting, dude. And I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe has never really delved deep into what Hulk could be. Like, in the 2003 Ong Lee, is it Ang Lee? Ong Lee? Ong Lee. I'm gonna go with Ong Lee. But yeah, the 2003 Ong Lee Hulk movie. That's the only one that kind of did it. But it, as much as it did that in stride, it also did the comic booky, kind of goofy, schlocky thing in stride. So even if it was true to the heart of Hulk comics, it was still kind of like true to the heart of Hulk comics and the fact that it's a comic book. So, you know, that one's kind of wishy-washy. And then there was the Incredible Hulk movie like 5 years later. Man, there was like less space between those than there was the Spider-Man movies. Or was there exactly? Oh, it's the same amount of space, but you know what I'm trying to say. Where they didn't even, like, give us a flashback, I think. I think the most character development we got out of Edward Norton's Hulk, or who directed that movie? I know it was the guy who did the Now You See Me, who did the first Now You See Me movie, which is a masterpiece. I will be making a video about that later. I think, Jesus, I think they barely made him a character, and they barely made any character a character in that movie, if that makes any sense. Everybody was basically the equivalent of cardboard, and that movie was pretty bland and boring. Then we get to the next interpretation of Hulk, which is the same interpretation as the Edward Norton one, but it's better, and it's in 2012's Marvel's The Avengers. That's probably the best version of Hulk we've seen since the 60s show? I think it was the 60s. That's definitely the best version we've seen because it's so true to the character. Like, there's a scene at the beginning of the second act, end of the first act, I actually showed in my other video, but, you know, it got blocked by Disney. Thanks, Disney. Anyway. And it's where Hulk is on the helicarrier, or Bruce Banner is on the helicarrier, and Steve just arrived, and Nat is, like, giving him a tour of the helicarrier, and the two of them are walking, and Steve's like, ah, Professor Banner. And when he gets there, Banner's just like, sorry, I'm sorry I'm in your way. You know, he's afraid he's gonna explode, right? It's hilarious, you know? And like that moment in itself is a great example of the Bruce Banner character. He's a considerate, compassionate, smart guy who knows the limitations and traumas that he's caused with his abilities, and he tries so desperately to make sure that people aren't afraid of that side, so he knows that they know he's there to do some good as himself. Another great example is towards the end of the second act, when he crashes through the building and he wakes up as himself with the janitor guy, and his first question is, did I hurt anyone? And the janitor says, no, just, you know, my hours of labor or something. He says something witty because, you know, Joss Whedon. And that's also super true to the Bruce Banner character. He sits up, he doesn't even worry about himself, he doesn't even care about the fact that he's naked. He just goes, hey, did anybody get hurt? And I think I love that. Same reason I love Superman and Wonder Woman and The Flash, other Marvel characters like Spider-Man or Thing or the Invisible Woman. It's all because they care about other people before they care about themselves. That's why they became a superhero, because something in them clicked where they knew, okay, my life is weird now, but that doesn't mean everybody else's life has to be weird. And I love that. And I think that's well interpreted in a lot of superhero media, especially with Bruce Banner and 2012's The Avengers. Which then, I guess, takes us to Iron Man 3, which he was in the end credits scene of. I didn't really like that portrayal. I mean, really, it was like, what, 10 seconds? Where he was just like, Tony, I'm not this kind of doctor. What? That's not his voice, but Tony, I'm not this kind of doctor. I can't do a Mark Ruffalo. Can anyone do a Mark Ruffalo? I want to see someone do a Mark Ruffalo. Anyway, but yeah, Bruce Banner is just like, Tony, I'm not this kind of doctor. And Tony's like, are you, you know, downplaying my trauma? And Bruce is just like, no, but fine, keep telling the story, which I guess is good. You know, because that's what Bruce Banner would do. He'd be like, you know what, at least someone's spending time with me. At least someone's here with me, and they're not worried about me turning into a giant green rage monster. So that was okay. And then we get to Age of Ultron, which isn't the worst interpretation. I'll get to that in a minute. But it's definitely a strange one. In theory, it's a really good idea, but there were a lot of really good ideas in that movie, like everything with Captain America and the twins, and everything with the Rhodey and Iron Man, I think, was good in that movie, where Rhodey felt kind of sidelined, but it was too much. You know, it was too much for one movie, and it was all kind of piled together in a series of interesting ideas that were never fully seen through, except for maybe Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch's plots. And I guess Bruce in that movie was okay. Again, great idea with the whole I'm a monster, I can't love anybody story, but it's ruined by Black Widow's terrible interpretation in that. So yeah. And then Hulk does something weird. It's not even Bruce Banner, it's Hulk, but he gains enough consciousness. He gains enough consciousness to pilot a shield aircraft, and he gets to space somehow, which makes no sense and is also not true to the Hulk character, really. I mean, I know he's been mildly smart in interpretations before, but never to a level where he can fly to a different galaxy. That was such a weird ending for that character. I kind of hated that. I like the part where Black Widow tried to call him. I like that. Then we jump, I think, 2 years forward with Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is a good version of the Hulk. I think if better adjusted to the comic book nature and comic book story of the Hulk, it would have just been like leagues better than anything we've ever seen. I mean, this abused child who grew up has regressed back into their child form, but now they can do whatever they want. I mean, that's juicy. I wish they had done more with that. And speaking of wishing they had done more with that, we now jump to Avengers Infinity War, which is probably the second worst the character has been. 2008 in his solo movie, that was pretty bad. And that's the worst for sure, but like in Infinity War, man, it's the worst it's been. Like it's way worse than Age of Ultron, in my opinion. I actually think that it was so bad. So first of all, there's the notion that Hulk gets beat in a fight. Hulk has never been beat in a fight before, at least, you know, in the universe, and now he gets beat in a fight by Thanos. And he's retreating back. He's scared. He's scared of this fatherly figure, and he's retreating back into Banner, which isn't really how they try to interpret it, but that's how I kind of interpreted it. So let's just move on. And now it's scared Hulk hiding in the corner and Bruce being on the front lines, whether he wants it to be or not. But then they do something weird with it. Like, they go from Bruce being back after not seeing his friends for like 3 or 4 years to something bad happening when Squidward and the weird shark dude, he's not a shark, but he looks like a shark. He looks like King Shark, but worse. When Thanos' minions, basically, when they come to New York and they're like, we want the Time Stone, he's finally back with Tony, his best bro, his best science buddy, and the first thing Tony says is, hey, we need that guy back. We need Hulk back. And Bruce is like, no. Bruce, in the movie, he's like, okay, I got you. But then Hulk doesn't come out. But, like, imagine, oh my god, Bruce Banner should be furious that Tony even thinks about having the Hulk back. That was a lot of spit, but it was well-deserved, because Bruce should be like, oh, I've been gone for 3 years, and you want to see the Hulk again? No. You know, Bruce is going to try to figure out this problem on his own, which would lead probably into an awesome fight scene where, you know, people are like, ah, crap, Bruce, no, why? And Bruce is like hobbling together this weird technology. He's like, Tony, give me some of your suit. And Tony's like, no, why? Should lead into what is probably the best and most dramatic Bruce Banner moment we've ever gotten. But instead, it leads to a joke where Bruce is like, ah, where he's straining, and it's so dumb. Oh my god. Ooh, it's so dumb, dude. Yeah, that's quickly redeemed, I guess, when he goes to Wakanda and he's hilarious because he bows. That's such a Bruce Banner thing. He's just trying to respect everybody, man. He just wants everyone to like him. And then he gets the Hulkbuster suit, which is pretty dope. And I think those scenes where he's like, yes, I'm awesome. I got my own suit. You know, it's the best. Hold on, I think someone's at my door. Okay, I'm back. There was someone at my door. It was my father. Speaking of fathers, mine's pretty dope. So, you know, nothing like Bruce Banner's father. Jesus Christ. Where was I at? Let's see, Hulkbuster. Oh yeah, everything with him and the Hulkbuster was dope. And yeah, it was super true to the character. He loved being in the Hulkbuster, and he loved being himself. And he loved being himself alongside all of his friends. So, yeah. That was cool, except for the beginning. So, we're finally at Avengers Endgame. And in Avengers Endgame, they royally screw over the character of the Hulk. Like, this interpretation of the Hulk is probably the third worst. Yeah, no, this one definitely sucks. Definitely sucks really hard, and here's why. I know a lot of you probably found all the Professor Hulk stuff funny, but I personally hated it. I would have much rather seen Hulk just, oh my god, I would have much rather seen Bruce Banner being taken out of, like, a psych ward that he put himself in after that 5-year jump. I think after the 5 years, Steve should have been there to pick up Bruce Banner, because I think Bruce Banner probably feels, or he should have felt, some sort of guilt whenever Thanos was defeated. I think he should have felt terrible that A, he couldn't do anything as himself in a freaking Hulkbuster armor, and B, he should feel terrible that he couldn't do anything as himself in the final mission against Thanos. He had to stay on Earth and basically not help. Something he would have much rather probably have done the opposite of. He would have much rather gone with them, because all Bruce Banner really has done is some science stuff, which has helped in the other movies, but to Bruce Banner, at least Bruce Banner in the comics, this would not have felt like enough. This would have felt like, okay, I can help. I can really, really help. Just let me help. I want to help. And the problem would have come with everyone else not wanting him to help because they're scared of what he could do. That's always the best part of Bruce Banner in the comics, especially when he's in a state of mind where he thinks he's enough. And that just wasn't in this movie. It was just him merging with the Hulk, which makes me really, really freaking angry. If Bruce had actually put himself in a psych ward because he thought he was having depressive episodes, it would have worked so much better, because when he's taken out of the psych ward, he's better, but he's still Bruce Banner, the boy who has done nothing. The boy who stands by and gets beaten in a fight. And I think Bruce Banner would probably love to be anything but that, just to prove to his father's ghost or his mother's ghost that he can stand up and be whatever it means to be Bruce Banner. And I think if he felt like he had failed in that aspect and he was himself throughout all of Avengers Endgame, it would have had a much more impactful feeling. He could be in the mission. He could be there with everybody trying to figure out how Bruce Banner is going to solve this problem, not how the Hulk or Professor Hulk is going to solve this problem by leaping on top of a building or something, okay? Imagine a version of Avengers Endgame where it's just Bruce Banner, and he has convinced the team to let him go on the field with them and say, hey, I'm going to the past as well, let me help. And he's got to go to Doctor Strange's manor, and we get some great comedy out of it because it's Bruce Banner running across town, He's just like, gotta get to the Doctor Strange, gotta get to the wizard, and everyone's like, what is wrong with you? There are aliens. Wizards? That can never happen. But Bruce Banner's like, nah, I gotta get to the wizard. And then he gets there, and the door is like crazy huge, and he can't unlock it because it's magic. So he's like, oh my god, what? Not, huh? So Bruce Banner just he's like, hey, it opens up for great comedy, but it also opens up for great character, because when ex-scientist Bruce Banner gets there, and the current Doctor Strange, who is Tilda Swinton, I guess, she's just like, Bruce Banner, but aren't you over on 40th? And he's like, listen, I'm from the future. I knew Doctor Strange. We weren't really friends, but I knew him. Okay, listen. And it's the same spiel he kind of had in the original Avengers Endgame, but it's more human. It's more from the heart, because Bruce isn't a superhero currently. He's Bruce Banner, shamed scientist with a rage issue. So I think that would have worked a lot better. Also, a little cameo from my mom, I guess. I just kept going, so, So, let's see. Bruce being Bruce would have... here's another thing Bruce being Bruce in Avengers Endgame would have 100% made better. In the scene where somebody has to snap their fingers, imagine if Tony was doing some science business on the glove, and he was like, this thing has too much gamma radiation for anyone to handle. And Thor's like, I can handle it. And everyone's like, no, you can't. So Thor's like, okay, well, who else here can handle radiation? And, like, you know, Thor's stupid in the movie. But wouldn't it have been awesome if even Thor realized it? If everyone had turned to Bruce and even Thor was there and he was like, oh. Hi, Fuzzy. Hi, Mom.
You have to get the fuzz and some of it.
Here's my cat.
You're so tall, you have to...
She agrees with me about my opinions on the Hulk. She's just like, what the heck was that? You know?
Power of the Hulk.
Power of the Hulk, yep. This is going to be my best video. For sure.
Because we're both in it?
Because you're both in it.
She's amazed with that light.
I know, right?
She's like, why? Why have I not been in this lighting all this time? I know. Okay. Let's let Bubba get back to his artistic vision.
My artistic ranting.
Yes.
So anyway, what if even, you know, stupid fat Thor turned to Hulk and everyone was just like, Bruce, it's you. And Bruce is like, me? I haven't called upon the Hulk in years. Everyone's just like, well, it's now or nothing. So Bruce, like, steps up to the plate. He's nervous, you know? And as he's reaching towards the glow, you just see his hand transform and get bigger and bigger and greener and greener. And he puts his hand in the gauntlet. He turns his fist. He raises it up. We slowly zoom back, and then we see Professor Hulk. The problem isn't Professor Hulk. Having Professor Hulk there is fantastic. But the problem is not showing the Professor Hulk journey. I would have loved to see Professor Hulk be the end of this character's arc, because Professor Hulk means everything to Bruce. Professor Hulk shows that Bruce can learn to control himself. It shows that Bruce is the Hulk. Who is Bruce Banner? Bruce Banner is the guy who is the Hulk. And it's not Bruce Banner and the Hulk, it's Bruce Banner is the Hulk. If that made any sense. And then, of course, he snaps his fingers, and I don't really want him to actually get hurt. I just want him to maybe, like, have a scar or something. I don't know. But, yeah, I think that would have worked so much better than what we got. And I really wish the Hulk had a proper ending. I wish the Hulk had a full arc that, you know, showed him in war with himself, and then one side of the war wins, but then the other side of the war wins, and then it comes to a compromise, and it's just perfect. It would have been perfect, but instead we got whatever that was in Avengers Endgame. So hopefully She-Hulk redeems him. Maybe She-Hulk can do something cool with Professor Hulk. Maybe She-Hulk can make Professor Hulk like a mentor figure, and we can see more flashbacks of Hulk learning to become one with himself, because the whole thing about She-Hulk is that she's one with herself. She's Jennifer Walters, the She-Hulk, you know? She's all the same person, and maybe we can watch that journey conspire with the help of Professor Hulk. I think that would be cool. I just wish it was, of course, better. I just wish it was better, you know? I like the Hulk. I grew up liking the Hulk. I grew up thinking the Hulk was cool. And I wish they did them better. But, instead we got what we got, and I can't throw a fit. So, you get what you get, and you can't throw a fit. But, yeah, Disney, take notes, and, stop blocking my videos. Alright, thanks everybody. Peace.
That you could have seen.